Welcome to Strictly Money at the News Forum, where all voices matter. I'm your host, Saijal Patel. If you've ever wondered what type of knowledge and skills you need to be financially healthy, you'll want to stay tuned, because in this episode, we're going to explore the concept of financial literacy, education required to make confident decisions with your money, whether that's saving, investing, managing debt, or even retirement planning. COVID and the economic uncertainty that's come as a result has left millions of Canadians more financially vulnerable and has underscored the need for better financial education. Our next guest says it's time to reevaluate the type of financial literacy we're putting out and the way we're deploying it. Joining me now is George Blount, financial therapist and the founder of nBalance Financial. George, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Saijal. Pleasure
George,
to be here.
the way you said that financial literacy needs to be reassessed, what do you mean by that? What are the problems that you're seeing?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, financial education is not as prevalent as anyone would like. That's the first problem. The second point is that the way that financial education is delivered, it's packaged as products and services, but the timing of info needs to be delivered just in time. And by just in time, we mean that it can't be taught in previous decades and expected to be utilized at a time of incredible need. And so when people are making these important financial decisions, we have to intervene and create the financial education at that time.
Yeah, that's a very important point, isn't it, George? Because financial education, it's often that we forget about it until we actually need it, meaning that the just in time. So what are some examples of that?
Yeah, I mean, the world is very complex right now in terms of what we're dealing. Just a few decades ago, we only had cash that we had to account for. The majority of the globe actually uses cash, but now we have cryptocurrencies, we have all other types of currencies that are actually being traded, and other types of financial information that people are seeking right now. So this lack of financial education causes people to feel and sometimes make their financial decisions based on emotions instead of actually making rational financial decisions.
George, I want to go back to the point of it not being prevalent, because I often hear that as well. Yet, you know, we have websites and full of financial information. So what's the problem there?
Yeah, when we look at the information that's available, it is primarily guiding people towards how to use a certain product or how to use or get the most out of a certain service. Most of the financial information doesn't have context, how that individual will take it in based on where they're at, how they use it, how they make the most out of it, and how they can actually seek out additional help if they're not adequately prepared. Those are some of the gaps that we see right now in the way financial education is delivered versus how people need to actually take in this financial education.
So what are your suggestions then?
Yeah, I think with a lot of people, we should definitely slow down, make sure that we're taking a look and being clear about what we're seeking. So do we have the right information in terms of what do we need to make this financial decision? Are we clear on what this financial decision is and what outcomes are we looking for? You would need that information to actually guide you to the right resources. And so that's going to be an important step. Really clarify what you're looking for to guide yourself to the appropriate resources for how you can achieve that goal.
You know, one of the things that you had mentioned is, you know, it feels like it's a much more complex world. We have more financial services than ever before. We used to use cash, as you mentioned, and that's changed. The retirement burden is now placed on people, and what you hear so much of is that there's so much more overwhelm about the information. Are there any areas where you feel like we can do a better job in educating?
Yeah, I think the first area that we can do a better job on educating is just create consistency in our terms. I think a lot of the times what our individuals are seeking is help to a very common problem, yet the solutions may be categorized differently based on the firm that you go to or the individual that you speak to, because our verbiage is very much based on products and services. And so if we can simply just take a look at the language that we're using to communicate some of of these financial terms, financial decision making, and make it simpler. It will allow people to feel better about the choices that they're making. It also allows for better clarity in
Okay.
these decisions that are being made.